You think reaching for your partner's hand is just a sweet little habit, something you do without thinking. Scientists put couples in a lab, wired their brains to sensors, and found out it is nothing of the kind. When you take their hand while they are scared or in pain, two separate nervous systems start to move as one. Their breathing lines up with yours, their heartbeat drifts toward your rhythm, and their brain waves begin to synchronize with yours in real time while it is happening. This is not a metaphor. It was measured. Picture the last time it happened. The waiting room before a test result. A turbulent flight. A frightening scene in a film. Without a word, one hand finds the other. Nobody plans it. Nobody says, "Here, hold my hand." It just happens, faster than thought, the way you flinch or blink. You probably thought you were only offering comfort. What you were actually doing was reaching into their body and turning dials they cannot reach themselves. And notice how quiet it is. No speech, no advice, no fixing. That is exactly what makes it easy to overlook. We are taught that support sounds like the right words, the perfect thing to say. But the oldest, most reliable comfort we have does not use language at all. It is skin against skin. And for years, science could not explain why it worked so well. Now it can begin to. In 2018, researchers at the University of Colorado Boulder and the University of Haifa ran an experiment that sounds almost tender. They brought in 22 couples who had been together for at least a year. They placed gentle heat pain on the woman's arm, and they watched, with sensors on both partners, what happened when the man simply held her hand. This is what they mean when they say it was measured in real time. Both partners were caps that read the electrical activity of the brain, moment by moment, in short windows of about 2 minutes. So the scientists were not asking people how they felt afterward. They were watching two brains, live, as one person hurt and the other reached out. The results were published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, one of the most respected journals in the world. When he held her hand while she was in pain, their brain waves coupled together. And this fits something the same team saw in the body. Their heart rates started to line up. Their breathing started to line up. Scientists have a name for this, when two people who are close begin to move on the same physiological rhythm. They call it synchrony. A hand, it turns out, is one of the fastest ways to trigger it. And here is the part that stops people. The more their brains fell into sync, the more her pain went down. Touch was not just distracting her from the pain, it appeared to be turning the pain down.
Then, the researchers tried it the other way. They put the couple in the same room, side by side, but told the man not to touch her. The empathy was still there. He could see she was hurting. But the moment the hands came apart, the coupling between their brains faded, and so did the pain relief. Being near her was not enough. The hand was doing something that presence alone could not do. The lead researcher, Pavel Goldstein, got the idea in the delivery room, holding his wife's hand while she was in labor. He noticed her pain seemed to ease when he touched her, so he went back to the lab and tested whether that was real. It was.
So how does a hand do that? Part of the answer is in your skin. You have a special class of nerve fibers that seem to exist almost only to respond to slow, gentle, warm touch at exactly the temperature of human skin. They do not care much about a poke or a bump. They light up for a caress. And when they fire, they help release oxytocin, the same calming bonding chemical your body floods with during closeness.
Oxytocin quiets the stress system. In a study at the University of North Carolina in 2003, partners who gave and received warm contact showed higher oxytocin and lower strain on the heart and blood vessels. Their bodies were literally under less pressure. And in a follow-up from the same lab, women who got more frequent hugs from their partners and who had higher oxytocin tended to have lower blood pressure and a lower resting heart rate. The hand was not being poetic. It was doing chemistry.
There is an even more striking picture of this.
Years earlier, in 2006, a researcher named James Cohen slid 16 married women, one at a time, into a brain scanner and warned them they might receive a small electric shock. He watched the fear circuits in their brains light up. Then, he let each woman hold her husband's hand. The threat response in the brain quieted down. Holding a stranger's hand helped a little. Holding her husband's hand helped far more. A single point of contact, and the brain stopped bracing so hard for the danger. Why would a species evolve to be soothed by a hand? Because we are built from millions of years of touch. Our primate relatives spend hours grooming each other, and it is not really about cleaning. That slow, gentle contact releases the same wave of oxytocin and natural opioids that calms the whole group and holds it together. The anthropologist Robin Dunbar at Oxford argues that touch like this is one of the oldest tools our ancestors ever had for staying bonded. Long before we had words to say, "I am here," we had hands. When you take your partner's hand, you are using a technology older than language.
But here is the honest part, because the science has an asterisk. This is not magic that works with any hand. In Cohen's study, the calming effect was strongest in the marriages the women rated as happiest, and the brain sinking during pain was tied to empathy. The more the partner actually felt for the person suffering, the more their brains fell into step. Touch is a signal. It only speaks clearly when there is a real bond underneath it. A hand held out of obligation does not do the same thing as a hand held out of love. And these were early studies with small groups of couples, so scientists are careful not to promise miracles. What they found is a beginning, not the final word.
Still, even with that caution, the direction is clear. Your two bodies are not just sitting near each other on the couch. When you touch with care, they are quietly negotiating a shared state, slowing each other down, borrowing each other's calm. Two nervous systems, for a moment, running on one rhythm. You have felt it your whole life. You just never had the name for it. Now you do. And there is a signal inside it you can actually learn to read.
So here is the thing to gently notice. Not whether your partner says the right words. Watch the hand. In a hard moment, does it still reach for yours? For most couples, that reach is automatic, a reflex that never really went away. If it slowly stops, if the hand that always found yours under stress no longer does, that is not a diagnosis and it is not a verdict. It is just an invitation to pay attention, and maybe to say out loud, "I miss your hand." And if something in your relationship ever feels truly unsafe, rather than simply distant, that is a moment to talk to a professional, not to decode.
But if you are watching this next to them right now, try something. Reach over and take their hand and watch their face. Then send them this video and tell them what their touch is actually doing to your brain. And tell me in the comments, who reaches first in your house, you or them? I would love to know.